So from The Matrix, it was sort of the acrobatic slow motion, I guess, is the key thing. Dual wielding guns is probably another thing. But I think I was just in a very impressionable age when The Matrix came out, and it just made me feel like, wow, everything just looks better in slow motion as well. One thing I found is like if you try to do action all the time, you want to bring it down a little bit, bring some maybe puzzly elements sometimes. I think the dodge maneuver, as you do a little pirouette, that was sort of what sparked from watching Equilibrium. There's a scene where he sort of waving arms around and all that. And I think there's a scene where he sort of spins around and reloads. I think that's sort of the most direct translation, but it's also the gun through style, separating your aim and controlling, shooting in two different directions. Yeah, it's definitely more spinning in Equilibrium. We have the Matrix, Max Payne. They have quite a serious tone. Yeah, I kind of wanted to lean into that a little bit more and sort of have the spirit of Bollywood action where, things doesn't need to be physically correct, and it's just more about the feeling and the sort of ramping things up shamelessly. I think that's sort of what I took from Bollywood action. Yeah, so another film that's leading on to the sort of a little bit of the bridging the gap between Equilibrium and sort of the Bollywood action is a film called Shoot 'Em Up. So it's sort of double gun, over the top action, but it's presented as a serious thing. Like when you watch it, you think, oh, this is like, the gritty, serious, angry man. But then as you watch it, you just realize it's completely ridiculous. It's sort of, if you just see quick clips of it, you wouldn't know, but it's, yeah. So I think that also helped to, find the direction of this game a bit. I guess it started with seeing The Matrix and Max Payne came out, and I was like, yes, that's what I want to do. I want to jump through the air in slow motion, fire two guns at the same time. I can remember when Max Payne came out, my computer wasn't good enough to run it, and so I had to go over to a friend's house. So we were hanging out, but I was sort of just hogging his computer for a week, just playing through the game. I think from Max Payne into this game as well, it started out with the sort of gritty urban environment was something I sort of set out to mimic a bit, I guess, in a way. When I started working on this 4.5 years ago, I was happy if I could make an atmosphere a little bit just visually in the environment to at least give a hint of the sort of surroundings of Max Payne. You want to fight? So this is the PC version of Ragdoll Kung Fu. I just really love the idea of sort of real-time animating your character sort of thing. And the sort of the feeling of puppeteering, so it sort of gets really expressive. And then I think that had quite a big influence on this game. The whole idea of I want to make the player feel like they're doing the cool things rather than pressing a button to trigger a cool looking animation sort of thing. I worked on Little Big Planet as well, and then even in that game we had the whole puppeteering thing, and it's I think that's sort of something that stuck with me a little bit from all of that, is the whole feeling in control of the character sort of thing, or at least, allowing for that. So this started as a Flash game way back. It was over 10 years ago when Flash games were a thing. Yeah, it was just sort of the general vibe of Flash games at the time, especially one game called Madness Combat. It also had that thing where you sort of had direct control of your arm. You could pick up things and throw them around and sort of stuff. I guess that era planted the initial seed for My Friend Pedro. I guess that seed's been sort of growing since, for over 10 years. I still sort of love the mentality of the sort of Flash game or web game, sort of these smaller things, because it's so easy to be experimental with it. It's there's no pressure, the expectation of a web game, especially because it's free. Normally it doesn't need to be a big polished thing with QA and localization and all that. It's just, oh, I had an idea over a weekend, I can put it out, and then if it's cool, then it tends to just float up and be, played by, millions of people sometimes. And I just love that, it's a freedom, creative freedom.
If you liked that video, why not check out some S-Rank My Friend Pedro gameplay in 4K or the gameplay trailer.